We can see that many of the seeds and fruits are beginning to be really showy on the trees and woody ornamentals at this time of the year. And this reminds us that it is the time of the year if we want to collect some of those seeds and start some plants from them. We can do it if we're careful about being sure that we follow a few basic techniques and also take a look at some of those that are more easily started by seed. Some of the ones that we commonly find in the landscape or out in the woods or along the roadsides that we can start from seed are things like the western soapberry. It's one plant that is a very showy plant this time of the year because of the panicles of fruit on there. It does start very well from seed. And of course walnuts and pecans, the oak trees from the acorns, some of the more ornamental types of plants in the landscape that can easily be started from seed and are available this time of the year are the golden rain tree, redbud and magnolia, dogwood. So there's many of them that really can be started at this time of the year, but there are a few basic techniques that we need to keep in mind. I think one of the things that we want to be sure that we do is if we're collecting seeds from these plants, that we be sure as we collect the seeds that they are seeds that are free from insect damage or that the insects are not around them as we begin to store them and get them prepared for starting. Because if we have insects on the seed now, if there's been insect damage in them, then we're going to have very little success as far as growing a plant from them. The oak and those types of trees in which there's some really large seeds that are noticeable are some of the ones that usually are more commonly damaged by insects, or they may be damaged by weather through splitting with excessive moisture or some other environmental conditions. So as you're collecting the seeds, sort those out and keep only the ones that look solid and that look like they would be the type that you would be successful as far as starting. In starting plants from seeds, there are usually two things that interfere with the germination of these seeds. This may be a very hard or impermeable seed coat, and this is especially true in the seeds such as the golden rain tree and also the redbud. If we look at these seeds and as we remove them from their seed pods and examine the seeds, we can note that they are extremely hard. And so as a result, it would be difficult for these seeds to imbibe water and to start the germination process. So you'll want to do something to penetrate that seed coat to allow water to start being imbibed. And this is done through a method known as scarification, or scarring the seed coat. And it can be done with just by gently roughing the seed coat and scarring with a piece of sandpaper or a small file or a little knife just to prick that seed coat. And then as you get ready to continue the treatment for germination, you'll find that your success will be much greater if you've gone through this process. The redbud seed is produced in pod-like structures on the plant. And if you shell these, much like you would a bean or a pea, you'll find the little seed inside that. But these little seeds are extremely hard. And so you would want to, like the golden rain tree, scarify those seeds or damage those seed coats some way to allow for water to be imbibed. Then we have another process known as stratification that also is necessary on some seeds to overcome a dormancy requirement the seed have, and this is mainly the requirement for those seeds that have a fleshy seed coat on them, such as the western soapberry, magnolia, and dogwood, and also helps to enhance the germination of some of the other seed that even do not have this fleshy seed coat on them, like for example pecans and walnuts, and of course the redbud and the golden rain tree also. On those seeds that have a fleshy seed coat like this, oftentimes we find that there's a chemical in this seed that inhibits germination, and that's really nature's way of preventing this seed from germinating too quickly. So you'll want to remove that fleshy seed coat from those seeds, particularly the dogwood and the magnolia, before you complete the process of stratification on those particular species. Now, I've already mentioned stratification 2 or 3 times. And stratification is simply an after-ripening process. It is a time period in which the seed is exposed to moist, cool conditions that allows that embryo in there to continue its maturing process and become fully ripe so the seed will germinate. Nature prepares her seeds through a stratification process by allowing the seeds to drop in the fall down in among leaves and debris and the litter on the floor underneath the trees, and then goes through the wintertime conditions, and then this stratifying or this after ripening process is taking place. We can emulate that somewhat and can help our seeds out by doing our own stratification process. And this is what I would certainly recommend if you're going to try to start any of these seeds and to grow any of your own. The way we do that is simply by taking a plastic bag or some type of a container that you can store your seed in, placing the seed inside that container, and I'm going to put my red bud seed in there, and then using moist sand or moist peat moss, place that also inside the container along with the seed, shake it up good so that the seed are covered well, and then be sure that you label either the outside of the bag or put a label inside the bag so you remember what kind of seed you've got in there. Seal the bag and then put it inside your refrigerator. Most seed require somewhere around the low 40s to mid 40s for their after ripening process. And if you will store these seed in the refrigerator at about 40 to 45 degrees for about 90 days, you're going to find that that after ripening process has been completed. Then after these seeds have gone through this process, you can take them out of the refrigerator, plant them in a container, and start growing your own plants from seed. This is a red bud that was stratified last year. We planted it in a container this spring, and it has about this much growth on it. And also oak and many of the other trees can be done the same way, of course.